crazy ass bitch!
Chris Martin, Johnny Buckland, Guy Berryman and Will Champion are one of Britain's biggest bands, Coldplay. The four-piece came together as students in the late 90s, and by the year 2000, their debut album Parachute shot straight to #1, earning them instant success. Winning countless awards, selling a staggering 17 million records worldwide, and immediately topping the charts with their new hit single Speed of Sound, the guys are back in 2005 with a brand new album, X and Y. Over the next half hour, frontman Chris and guitarist Johnny step into the spotlight to answer some testing questions put to them by their fellow musicians.
Question for Coldplay about their new record. What took you so long?
Well, you know, to everybody in the world, it seems like we've taken a break for 2 years, a year and a half.
Yeah.
But in fact, that's the time when we work our hardest, you know. It's when we're not in public and we're not being Coldplay the brand, that we're trying to work on being Coldplay the band, and so it's not taking a break at all. In fact, it's trying to deconstruct everything and just focus on being the four of you in a room again, try and do something new and exciting. When we come off tour, we have to go back to sort of semi-normal life. And if we didn't do that, then we'd start writing songs about being on tour, and we'd start writing songs about hotel rooms and
room service.
You know, check-in problems. You know, no one wants to hear you complain that your first-class lounge isn't open yet. So when we come off tour, we have to go and buy milk again, and we have to talk to the dustman again, and you know, real life starts to be an influence again.
Hey Chris, I want you to tell me how becoming a family man has affected your music and your touring lifestyle.
I mean, I think everything that happens to me and that happens to us as a band affects our music. Because our music is hopefully reflective of the emotions that we're all feeling. So anything is liable to be drawn upon. How it affects touring, I have no idea. But I hope that my daughter will be a rock and roll baby. I accept that, if you marry someone who's very famous, of course there's going to be some attention. But, everybody in their life has something that's a little annoying, and I'm not for a minute going to complain about anything. If you go on safari, you might get eaten by a lion, but doesn't mean you should stop going on safari.
Or complain about the lions.
Or complain about the lions. What fun would a safari be without the lions?
Yo, what's up? It's your boy X to the Z Exhibit. What's up, Coldplay? I want to know why you named your album after me, X and Y.
It's not directly related to Exhibit's name, but there is a similarity.
We've all seen Pimp My Ride. I think none of us would say it out loud, but most of our songs are written in the hope that we can one day afford 22-inch platinum rims. So he's definitely an influence in that respect. Other people would tell you that the title meant things to do with maths and space and man and woman, but that would be doing a disservice to Exhibit.
People give mathematical variables letters because they don't know what they are. They don't know what number they are, and so it's a way of answering a question that you don't really understand.
In the same way that the album title, reflects things that you can see but you don't necessarily understand, the artwork fits that too. It's amazing to us that people have talked or know the album cover and are sort of wondering what it is, because we all know what it is. It's a kind of a code. If you get our actual album cover with the full sleeve, everything becomes very clear.
Hello, Coldplay. We've heard that your new album, X and Y, has been influenced to some extent by the sound of New Order.
Oh, electronic music in general. Why is this? Perhaps you care to explain?
Well, this is a crazy theory perhaps, but since having a daughter, everybody tells you that the first 8 years of your life are the most formative, and we seem to be listening mainly to music made in like the late 70s, early 80s. So I think it's got something to do with that.
We've used a lot more electronic instruments. We've been influenced a lot more by bands like New Order,
Kraftwerk,
yeah, Depeche Mode. So we've pushed ourselves in that direction more, but it's all kind of experimental for us. If ever we end up falling back on old tricks or things we've done before, it becomes boring.
Someone said that on the new record you sampled Kraftwerk, and we were wondering why.
Kraftwerk is someone that people are always surprised when we say that we're obsessed with, because, you know, they're all about perfection and programming, but what everyone fails to realise is that Kraftwerk have got some of the most soulful and beautiful melodies and lyrics of all time. And I was just lying on my bed one day and I thought, you know, I wish that I could hear Johnny playing this melody, because then everyone would realise what an incredible melody it was, you know, when it's played on a guitar. And then we could maybe do a video like Slash on top of a mountain. You know, we lost that bit of the idea, but the first bit remained, and 8 months later it was finished.
We'd never so directly stolen off anyone before.
Yeah, I mean, our whole career is an exercise in plagiarism, but this was taking it to a new level.
We've never paid for our plagiarism.
We've never paid for our plagiarism before.
In a haze, a stormy haze, I'll be round, I'll be loving you always. Always. Here I am and I'll take my time. Here I am and I'll wait in line always. Always.
If I could ask Coldplay a question. I heard a rumour that they were watching the Definitely Maybe DVD and they were inspired by our reckless decision to scrap Definitely Maybe twice and just throw caution to the wind, didn't go for it a third time. I've got it on authority that they were watching that and they decided to scrap their new album and start again from scratch. Is there any truth in that? If there is no truth in that, why not? Lightweights.
Well, Noel's absolutely right, and as frightened as I am by any question that he asks us, because he's an intimidating presence, he's also a wonderful man, and he's, of course, the mastermind behind one of the best bands ever. And that story about Definitely Maybe DVD is 100,000% true. I was at home watching this DVD that came out last year of the making of Definitely Maybe, and watching about how they started off very technological and trying to do everything perfectly and with great studios and everything, and ended up just going back to being the four of them in a room, five of them, sorry, you know, bashing out the songs. And I suddenly realised, you know, that's really what we haven't been doing. So we went back to a tiny rehearsal space and we started the album all over again. So a large part of that is thanks to that Definitely Maybe DVD.
'Cause yeah, everybody here's got somebody to lean on. Let's go fly at the speed of sound to show you how love began.
On the season finale of The Barkers.
I'm not feeling really good. No, I mean, I'm not.
Johnny, Chris, why did you pick Speed of Sound as your first single? Why'd you go and do that?
It took us months to decide the first single. Every time someone said, "Oh, that would make a great first single," we'd suddenly start hating the song and ruin it by trying to change it.
Extraordinary.
And each of us at some point had an entirely different idea about what should be the first single. but it would never last for longer than a week until finally we all met at Speed of Sound.
Whilst it's not the most progressive song on our record, we're very proud of it, and we only put things on the album that we love, so we love and fear and are terrified by every song in equal measure.
Hi Coldplay, this is Faith Evans, and I want to know, do you guys still suffer from the nerves, the skeevies, the butterflies when you're presenting new music, when you get ready to go on stage and perform?
We're nervous about everything, because that means if it goes badly, you can say it's okay, well, we were nervous. If it goes well, it's twice as rewarding.
I think we only play well when we're nervous. The worst gigs are when none of us are nervous and you get on stage and then you suddenly get nervous.
You can see that there's a potential to do something great, but there's also potential to mess up badly. And the more nervous we are, like, it makes the highs higher and the lows lower.
Hey, what's up, man? It's Bizarre. What up, Coldplay? I got a question for you guys. Now listen real closely. Do you guys practice any rituals before you go on stage? Do you like jump in the air? Do you doodle before you go on stage? Do you fart? What do you do? What's your ritual, Coldplay? Let me know.
We have a nice hug before we go on stage and just a few calming words. And
we always touch heads for some reason.
Yeah, if any one of us got nits, it would be a nightmare.
We share nits and lice before we go on stage. Will never get some because he's got a shaved head, but...
He'll get a beard once.
Yeah. And recently we started singing together because we were all trying to sing a song called Fix You at the same time, which we've never done before. So we're always practicing that until about 10 seconds before we go on stage. It's going to eventually sound like the Bee Gees, but at the moment it sounds like the Heebie-Jeebies.
We have a question for you. We were just wondering when the exact moment was that you realised that your careers were taking off on a global level.
We don't ever really realise that. I think there's been moments, but every time we play a gig, we can't believe people are coming to see us, you know. You're only as big or as good as the last thing you did, so you don't take anything for granted.
You know, when we got signed, that was the biggest thing we could possibly imagine happening to us. And now, today we're going to play this concert for MTV, and you know, if someone had told us we'd be doing our own concert on MTV, you know, with everything that we do just sort of knocks us out. When you become a big band, inverted commas, you get surrounded with all this paraphernalia that reminds you that you're a big band, but to create anything worthwhile, you've got to go back to that chemistry that started it all off. And no one reminds you of that, really. And it took us a while to remember it.
All the things that you do.
You know, I've followed the career of your band a lot, and I'm just curious, in comparison to Rush of Blood to the Head or Parachutes, how would you compare the new music to the old music?
It's strange, very strange to compare your albums, because I still can't see them as anything
objectively.
Yeah, as anything but a kind of part of us, of where we were in the periods we did them.
I was just guessing at numbers and figures, pulling the puzzles apart.
Each album is a reflection, really, of 2.5 years of our life and all the things that were going on at that time and all the things we were listening to at that time. you know, because on every album now, we've poured everything we possibly can into it. So comparing them is like comparing a fish with a, you know, a pack of biscuits. You know, you can do it, but it might not be that tangible. I don't know if that makes any sense. Cut to commercial on that one.
Win the 2005 wearing and what lines they dish out when there is no script. The 2005 MTV Movie Awards pre-show, Thursday at 8 on MTV.
These plasters very much in the same vein as when two young people go hitchhiking and the girl stands on the road and the man stands behind the tree in order to make sure that they get picked up. In the same way, this equals sign, which is all to do with our lifelong commitment to the idea of fair trade. And these are just visual stimuli that catch your eye. They're a little bit like Michael Jackson in the 80s, and they're a little bit of a nod to Morton Harkett from a-ha, and so are these. And I just thought if Coldplay couldn't pioneer anything in music, we could at least push forward the boundaries of fingerwear. The reason why we talk about fair trade is because it's something we really believe in. It's something that we really care about. It's something that we selfishly think that if it isn't sorted out, will come back to haunt all of us. And it just felt like in an age where there's so many endorsements going on, we wanted to endorse something that we really cared about, as opposed to some shampoo that we never even used.
Well, I mean, the only reason anyone ever talks to us is because of our music.
And sometimes your handsomeness.
Oh, yeah. But maybe 50-50.
For you, it's about 50-50.
But then, on top of that, we get the opportunity to talk a lot to a lot of different people. So why not talk about the things we believe in?
Check it out. That's from Thailand. That's from America. Thailand. See, in England, if we were importing something that was ruining our own farmers, the farmers would go crazy and we would stop importing it, or we would put massive tariffs on it. So it's extraordinary that in a country where you're trying to let your rice farmers do well, you're actually not going to let them do well because you're going to let people import it really cheaply. And there it is, right there. The great thing about what we do with fair trade is that even the people that hate us know about fair trade. At least, you know, for all the bands in the world that really detest Coldplay, they can't really disagree with fair trade. I don't think we're for everybody, and that's the beauty of music, is you can choose what you like. And sometimes, you know, listening to four handsome British boys playing slightly feminine rock might not be the thing you need. You might need to Zeppelin it. We just haven't got the hair for that. You can't rock out unless your hair is below your shoulders.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, I've got a question for you. Given Coldplay's worldwide success, what do you want to do next? What's left for you?
Every time you achieve one ambition, 59,000 others suddenly arrive.
We constantly have ambitions. Every sort of day is a new thing for us. Like today we're playing a gig and we want to make it the best gig we've ever played. It's as simple as that. We can't believe how lucky we've been that our jobs is hanging around with our friends playing music. and chatting about ourselves all day. I mean, we're very lucky people. So we constantly feel like we have to prove ourselves.
And now our ambition is to have all those 15-year-old people who got beaten up for liking us 2 years ago, is for them to have all the people that beat them up come over to them this year and say, you know, we just heard Coldplay's third album and you were right, we're sorry about that. You know, of course, that's never going to happen, but that's our ambition.
The Leak on MTV.com brings you Fat Joe. Log on now to listen to his entire new album, All or Nothing, before it hits stores June 14th.